So, Throne and Liberty, what once was thought to be kind of on the dead side, a game that I absolutely love and I've made a lot of content for, is making some really, really, really big changes. And I want to watch these before I go to bed tonight because this is that like massive, assuming what I've heard is true, massive, massive, massive for the game. So we'll see. We'll see what he has to say here. There's an adventure roundtable that's like an hour and 13 minutes. Apparently, this is the Aragorn summary, so we are just going to watch this because, yeah, an hour and 13-minute react would or like video would be like a 3-hour video. That should be crazy, bro.
In this video, new patch notes, a quick summary of the creator roundtable.
That's really what I want. I want the creator roundtable.
My personal interview with Tico, and a lot of other questions. I put together over 53. I didn't get answers for everything, but I will cover what I did later on in the video and leave a link to the document in the video description. For the creator roundtable, the main takeaway is tier 3 gear is dropping September the
Nobody cares. Please tell us about what's going on with PvP.
18th.
Okay, T3 gear is important. That is a big deal that will make people log in to get the next tier of gear. And so there'll be a reason to log in for gear. But most importantly,
along with Hyperboost, the new orb weapon, player housing, dimensional trial revamp, and battlegrounds. The big surprise is tier 3 gear already. I understand this is a little bit controversial for some of you, as you feel it might be a bit too early as you're only just catching up with tier 2 gear, particularly if you're trying to flesh out multiple builds. You might be panicking about the legendary gear. However, I did ask in the creator roundtable, our legendary gear will not be superseded by tier 3 gear. It will still be the best stuff, and it will be something you want to work towards over time. And yes, it's intended to take quite a while to upgrade or be really expensive if you want to rush it. I understand that some of you
T3 gear is extremely important in TNL because the gameplay loop is kind of like dog shit cheeks. And so like if you don't have, so they've basically, there's not enough PvP at endgame right now because there's not enough people playing. Unless you're like on adrenaline, for example, for NA, but like there's really not a whole lot going on at endgame. So like once you're done with the grind, you basically have nothing to log in for because all of the content is all weekly gated. So you have nothing to grind for other than to just do the PvP. And for a lot of people, the PvP isn't really there right now. So T3 gives them a reason to log in, which should help, again, spur the PvP problem.
You are annoyed we cannot sync our legendary gear, and this is not a feature that's planned to happen. However, when tier 3 gear does drop, the gap between legendary and tier 3 will probably close a bit, so it won't be that big a deal if you're just running tier 3 weapons versus legendary on alt setups. They will be
I'm thinking about switching to adrenaline. Yeah, that's probably the move. I'll be honest with you, if you're a PvPer, that's the play. 100%.
Bringing 2 new co-op dungeons, upgrading tier 1 field bosses to have tier 3 gear. There'll be no new map expansion, and we can expect more info on what current materials will be useful in tier 3. They probably learned a lot of lessons from going from tier 1 to tier 2, where we were rewarded.
So like this is basically, guys, they're basically releasing a new expansion's worth of gear without actually releasing a new expansion. They're literally just dropping a bunch of extra gear for the game, which is a good thing. It's a big deal. That will get people to log in and actually play TNL.
For a lot of hoarding. I doubt we will get awarded as much. Again, at the same time, September the 18th, we get Hyperboost. These will bring new servers and will be a permanent feature to fast track players. They will indeed help existing people who have already created characters and feel a bit stuck. They will give more guidance for game systems and what weapon to pick based on what role. Additionally,
that's really good. That's basically seasonal. This is basically a seasonal server on steroids.
There's no plans for a third character slot.
Wow, about 6 to 6.5k CP for Hyperboost is nuts.
So I would have to delete my...
That's like the end game. Like right now, or like even with yellow gear and stuff, you're looking at like 7k CP. But like this is like I guess it's more now because of the mastery. But
Alt right now, if I want to take advantage of Hyperboost in my
6K
current
is super
region,
high, bro.
I can of course switch a region and just play Hyperboost there. And
That'll help me get to 6K so that I can actually play the game again.
Hyperboost should get you to about 6 to 6,500 combat power.
Perfect.
That's huge.
That is
You're
big.
most likely going to get nearly fully traded, max leveled tier 2 gear. And the
Perfect.
only real thing you will miss is going to be mastery and rune levels. So this is going to be a massive boost for a lot of you, and is kind of a reason why you shouldn't worry too much about tier 3 gear coming, because Hyperboost should help you to catch up to that point and then already work on tier 3 gear as well as everybody.
These are all super good changes. These are really, really good.
Yeah.
These will bring a lot of
there
people
was a
back.
quick section on raid feedback, and I asked the question about combat revives, and it's not really being considered right now. Again, the new orb weapon is dropping
I still haven't even done the new raid. I tried to log in and do it, but nobody could do it with me because they already did it.
September the 18th as well. It will have a 12-meter range, requiring a lot of placement and setup versus other weapons. Will have a high skill ceiling, and Tico hints it might synergize well with crossbow. You'll be able to create areas which will like debuff and probably anti-heal enemies, and Tico wants it to be very powerful at the beginning, but I will warn you that it will most likely receive nerfs later on, just like they did with
What the? Oh, wait, what the? Tico? You can't, bro. And please invest all of your time, money, and effort into getting this new thing that is clearly OP so that you can money dump into it, and then we're going to nerf it, just so you're aware. It's going to happen. That's crazy. Like, I mean, bro, people talk about that at BDO. They're like, oh, yeah, the new class is always OP so that everybody wastes their weapon change coupons and all this stuff, and they spend all this money. And I'm always been like, no. Tico just came out and said, yeah, that's what we're doing. We don't care. Yeah, suck my dick.
spear.
What?
So it's up to you if you want to switch
Bro, you
to
can't
it,
just say
invest
that.
in it, but don't do so unless you want to stick to it being your main. New player housing will arrive as well, an additional feature allowing you to custom.
I don't give a shit about this. There's not enough RP in TNL that I really think that the housing is like, okay. Because like you can't like craft furniture. In BDO, the housing works really well because you can craft furniture and stuff. So
Customize a
and then in WoW, it's the same thing, right?
space for yourself.
Although I guess WoW's housing just got introduced too. So WoW is literally just introducing housing on this patch.
In Castleton
this
or
expansion.
Vienta, you will unlock it through the codex. There'll be no taxes or maintenance, just a one-time purchase.
Final Fantasy, though, they do housing, bro. Final Fantasy housing fucks. Those people know what's going on, bro. Just learn from them.
Fee. You will gain housing power, and that will allow you to
Yeah, I made room in the Odin Guild last night. I opened up 10 slots. I can open up 10 more here in a minute.
unlock higher level of houses. You will start in like a small basement, upgrading to a big expansive apartment. You can collect trophies out in the world. There are no plans for any of them to add stat boosts to your character, and currently not planned to have like a training dummy in
It's strictly RP, guys.
your house.
Strictly
They will be
RP.
selling wallpapers, flooring, and some seasonal items in the shop. And in terms of material processing, you will be able to make some lucent from it.
It sounds like, I'm gonna be real, that sounds like shitty housing. Like the thing that makes player housing really cool is allowing players to interact in cool ways in the house. So allowing people to duel each other, like a dueling arena. The scarecrow would have been cool, but he said that wasn't going to be a thing. Allowing players to like do some life skilling and stuff in there, like really just kind of interacting with each other in a cool way that they couldn't necessarily do out in the world, but isn't super OP. That's usually what makes housing really interesting and fun.
You will craft new furniture,
Alternatively, you can sit there if you can craft really cool furniture for it, which is what he's going over now.
and it will have a chance for great success, like most of the gear, probably 20%.
Wizard
and if you get a
101
great
housing,
success,
fair.
you'll be able to sell that.
I
So
don't play
there
that
will
game,
be an
though.
opportunity to make lucent from this new housing system, even if you couldn't care less about decorating a house. Additionally, Dimensional Trials completely getting revamped. We got forewarning of this from the Korean patch. patch notes. It will have weekly leaderboards with just one dungeon. Your completion time will have a pretty big effect on your score, and this score will result in your leaderboard, which will, instead of just giving a title, will actually grant some progression items. Additionally, you'll be able to get rewards beyond runes. Every time you complete, you have a chance to obtain extra rewards. You will also be able to apply your own affixes, these kind of negative modifiers, and the worse the ones you put on and the quicker you complete it, the more score you will get. And so
for those of you that don't know, dimensional trials are like, what is the WoW Epic Plus or whatever, the Mythic Plus, basically Mythic Plus. You basically are doing a dungeon with a bunch of extra modifiers that makes it a lot harder, but it gives you better rewards, and then you can get ranked and stuff, which gives you even more rewards.
the higher you'll be ranked on the leaderboard for the end of the week.
Yeah, so when this first came out, there was a bunch of cheaters doing it, and so people were really pissed with it. But apparently they punished all those cheaters, and now they're revamping it.
Yes, they'll be rotating through all the dimensional trials, like the 2-star dungeons, 3-star.
Please don't kick me. I'm getting ready for Sovereign Offhand. Yo, just play, you're fine. As long as your name isn't a bot, you'll be fine.
And 4-star. And scrapping the need to progress through the tiers. You can simply jump to the max tier 10, put the most challenging affixes, and complete it as quickly as possible with your team. But you will still be able to farm them over and over.
What are the chances we get boss exploits?
For getting runes and a chance at additional rewards. Finally, Battlegrounds.
Here we
go.
It
will be a large area like the Castleton Courtyard. If we check the map, you can see it will be just this main area. There'll be 5 different control points with a respawn on either side. And it will be a 24 versus 24 game mode. Matches lasting about 15 minutes.
Is there a spectate feature? I know I'm probably the only person asking that question, but at the same time, everybody knows why I'm asking that question. Because this 24v24 is cinema. That's good shit.
You also have the possibility to control a golem. Tico mentioned this would be for like the losing team. They are reworking
so we're
the
getting
arena.
A small scale PvP game mode. You're getting tier 3 gear. You're getting rework on dimensional trials, more dungeons. Jesus Christ, bro. They're bringing it back, boys.
And the shop that goes with it to be like a PvP coin. And most PvP content will award this coin, doing like PvP field
Lucy Tournament Monka.
bosses, PvP Dominion events, arena, and yes, this Battlegrounds. And you'll be able to buy materials.
No, this is nothing like Valencia RBF. This is 24 versus 24, and it's basically, again, the idea is you're going in with friends to battle with other people. Or I guess you are going to go in with randoms, sure. But like, Valencia RBF sucks. You know it, I know it, we all know it. It's like, you're just going in a free-for-all, just like shitting on people. This, I would agree with you. The layout does kind of sound like a little bit like Valencia RBF, but like way better. There's no way that it's as unsuccessful as like RBF and BDO is worthless. PvP because of how PvP functions in BDO versus Throne, it's just completely like look, there's one RBF going. One. Like peak hours in NA right now. It's 11 p.m. Central. And you can queue with 5 people at a time. So it's nothing like RBF. Yeah. So you can literally queue with 5 people at a time.
All with this new coin. And you will get participation rewards for the Battlegrounds, so even if you lose, you'll still be able to purchase rewards. The weapon restrictions are changing, so not like Arena, where you can't queue as a DPS wand, otherwise your team won't have a healer. Here you will select that I want to be a DPS, and so if I have a wand, that's fine. However, nothing really stops a healer or a tank queuing as a DPS. There are also no plans for gear equalization. They simply encourage you to play on a Hyperboost server instead, which should contain...
Smart. That's definitely the way to do it. Just help people catch up instead of trying to like standardize all gear.
A lot of
Make sure gear matter.
Who are still upgrading just like you. I am a bit worried about veteran players jumping in there and stomping noobs, but the battleground queues are inter-server except for Hyperboost. So Hyperboost will have its own queues with those developing players. And yes, that is the summary for the Creator Roundtable.
I was told What the I was told that alliances are becoming 2 guild alliances. Is that true? That's what I was told. That's what made me most excited. And I was like, wait, pause. I will definitely be booting TNL back in. That is true. Where is that at? Does anyone have a timestamp of where that was talked about? Where the is that? Here's the Aragorn video. He just he doesn't give a about it, bro. He doesn't give a shit. I need somebody that actually cares about PvP to tell me what the
What's up, gamers? Welcome to our first creator roundtable for Throne.
There's no timestamps in this godforsaken video. It's an hour and 20 minutes, bro. Does anyone know where it happened? It wasn't in the roundtable. It was in the one-on-one interview. Boys, we're huge. Bro. What is this?
What is the take from the devs? What's going to happen?
Yeah, well, let me give a direct answer here, and then I want to give a little bit of context behind that. So first thing is that we will be shrinking the alliance size. So
finally, bro, we get them to concede. You are bro. Holy, these they are so dense. They should have done this forever ago. This is so good. This is a W. This is a W. We've been telling them to do this since it came out. Alliances have been a serious issue. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. What is this?
Oh,
we got it. Okay, yeah, we're fine.
on September 3rd, we'll be shrinking alliance sizes from 4 total guilds to 2 total guilds. So your own guild and then 1 additional alliance partner that you can have. So they are going to be shrinking.
Thank God.
So hopefully a lot of people are happy, excited about that, see how it plays out. It was really a lot of just kind of debate that we had about that. You know that in my recent Tico talks, we asked about what does the community think about it. And I think sometimes, players are in their own bubble of community. So it feels like the answer is very obvious. But
no, the answer was entirely super obvious to everybody in the entire PvP community. It's not even a question. It wasn't really a debate. Everybody unanimously agreed.
There's actually a lot of different paths that we could have taken, just shrink.
I'm sorry. The vast super majority of players all agreed that anybody that understood how the game worked knew that the alliances needed to come down.
Them, or should we apply it only to certain content, to alliances only?
No, it needs to be 2, not 3. No, 2 is good. 2 is a W. Mainly because then you end up with less super zergs and more actual okay, well, small guilds can get together and fight bigger guilds, right? You'll end up having more alliances, which ends up being more people on different teams, more people to fight, more people that are actually pitted against each other. That's a W. You don't have all 400 of the best players stacked into one side. You now only have 200 of the best players versus 200 of also very good players, right? All for the open world bosses. Oh, wait. Oh, true. Open world bosses need to be brought back now. 3 wouldn't have changed much. That's correct. 3 would not have changed almost anything. Right now, a group of 4 new guilds fighting 4 of the literally the strongest guild on the server, it's not even close. The little guilds get obliterated. And there's no reason to show up to do bosses or anything. Or to do open world stuff. Which, I'll be honest with you, they've basically removed. Can we bring back the open world bosses now? Since we're doing this? Open world bosses would be so much fun. Open world bosses would be so fun. You've killed bosses. Please bring back bosses. Bring back bosses. Bring back the bosses. Bosses would be so good. But now, again, if you had open world bosses now, let's say everybody was fighting over this boss here in the middle. And instead of a 4-man mega alliance, just all on the same team, you now have cut that in half, and now you have multiple teams of approachable numbered people so that new guilds can actually form and come into the scene and actually be successful. They're not just fighting an overwhelming force that are all on the same team with one another.
For sieges or...
They mentioned something about open world bosses. Give me the Timestamp.
arc bosses or a combination? What about Nebula? Is that the same or is it different? Because that's a PvP zone, and there's so many different opinions about that based on really what personal experiences you've had on your own individual server and what you like.
Okay,
so
1736. Okay.
I also mentioned in the Tico talks that it would be an iterative approach, and that's how we feel about this change. So this will be the first step. We're going to shrink the alliances, and then we're going to evaluate. Is it right or wrong? Should it have been 2? Maybe it should be 3. Should it still be all content? Should it not? We're going to keep just evaluating alliances over the next several months and see how it plays out. But for now, that first step is going to be reducing it from 4 to 2.
In terms of Castle Siege, is there any chance that you could change it so that attackers can see the defenders?
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem that I think we hear come up somewhat frequently in the community of it's
yeah, that's like
a bit chaotic in the Castle Siege at times because you don't know if it's worth attacking somebody else who maybe is also trying to infiltrate the castle rather than are you actually attacking the defending alliance. And right now we don't really have plans to shift that. Part of what we think makes Castle Siege fun is a little bit of that chaos. You know, there is that feeling of it's a siege, it's sort of...
What the is going on with this guy's tie? What the hell is happening with this? The knot is totally man. I don't mean to be that guy, but like, bro, like the knot is completely
everybody for themselves. Really, there is the concept of attackers and defenders, but really it's just everybody trying to claim the throne, you know? And you're only on my team for however long until I claim the castle. Once I claim the castle, you're not really on my team.
I'm more focused on the obvious hiding the bald spot ponytail. So what, you think we got like this situation going on here? This what we got going on? Yeah, I think so too. I think you're probably right.
Anymore. So we know that at times that can feel a little bit overwhelming, but we think there's something to be said about that chaos, about needing to work with your guild and your alliance. That's really your team. Every other attacker is not technically on your team, although I know it can feel that way maybe in the early stages. So the short answer is no, we're not planning to make changes on that right now, but you know, we're always open to feedback and changes.
I think that this is fine. Siege Defender colors, I think, would probably destroy a little bit, especially with alliances coming down to 2 guilds. It's going to be really hard to do. Honestly, I think it's being more reasonable to defend the castle now. I think it's still going to be reasonable because the attackers are only 2 guilds too. But I think getting through that second gate actually might be possible if there's only 2 guilds because you can spread them kind of thin. You can get into that. You can, you know, use the resurrection portal and stuff.
And we do have other changes coming up for Castle Siege. We're going to be changing the map layout and stuff like that. Of course, we're changing the alliance size that we made. So we're making changes to try to just revitalize the Castle Siege, give some new meta or strategies. But the coloring is not part of that right now.
So with the alliance change, it will mean there's only 2 guilds defending the castle now.
That's
versus
right.
4.
Yeah, and we hope that leads.
I think that's cool. I think it'll add to more strategy.
To more castle turnover. We want
also good.
The defenders to, of course, have a chance to defend, but we want that to be harder than it is to capture it from the current defenders.
Yes,
and I would say right now it's felt a little bit like the defense has too much advantage. So
just a little bit, just not that much, just a little bit. Nothing crazy though. Nothing crazy. What the, bro? That's way too hard.
So, with the reduction in alliances, we think that will help. And then we're also making changes, as I said, to the map layout, which should make penetrating the castle also a little bit easier. And we hope that leads to a bit more offensive play.
Are there any plans to bring back the large-scale feel of open world PvP?
Please, Tico. Please, we have the alliances now. We can do it now, Tico. Don't do it. Do it.
So before Talandre, before the portal system,
Please,
we had a lot more active open world
the cool
PvP
part.
With those field bosses. Is there any chance that can come back as a daily activity?
Yeah, it's tricky because, you know, when we had those bosses, there was also a lot of negativity that came with that.
Yeah, because there were alliances that were mega zerking everyone. Please give it back to us now.
And so it's we're trying to strike this balance of offering an.
I also want to point out, at least we had fights at bosses before. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna say it because the current guild versus guild portals, deadage as there are no fights. No one gives a shit. Nobody shows up. Nobody does that content anymore. At least people did the open world bosses, bro. Like,
enough of that type of content to satisfy our users without also tipping back to the other side of the spectrum where there was a lot of unhappy users that
arc bosses are still open, but no one fights because of 4 guild alliances. Exactly. 2 guild alliances would help tremendously there. Then smaller guilds can show up and actually like fight. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, well, if all of our small guilds are all fighting and they're only 2 guilds strong, we can actually beat them, right? If all of the 400 strongest players are not on the same goddamn team, right? Like,
I felt like areas of the world were kind of inaccessible or dominated by these, large groups or alliances that other players couldn't get to. So there's this balance that's trying to be.
What, it was 6 alliances on release? It was disgusting. No, it was 4 guild alliances on release, but people had mega alliances where they would mark guilds as hostile, but they would really just be using them as another allied alliance. So we had like 12 guild alliances. It was crazy.
Strike tier. That's why we have arc bosses, for example, that allow that open world PvP. Of course, the nebula.
The open world conflict bosses were what really drew me into TNL and what I really enjoyed about the game. It's just so much fun.
Bosses as well. And so we're still evaluating if we should go beyond arc bosses. We've started having those conversations. Like, is it necessary to go beyond just arc bosses and have others that are there? So I would say
I was right when I said, I just want to point out, I was correct when I said alliance sizes need to be smaller. It was controversial at the time, but I was one of the first people to say that. Okay, long time ago, many months ago. Okay, now I'm right again when I tell you your current guild versus guild portal system does not work. You need to go back to the open world system, and it will be better because you have 2-man alliances. 100%. Because it'll be 2 guilds versus the world instead of 4 of the best guilds on the server versus everyone else, which is not fair.
It's real enough that we've started having conversations about whether we need to go one step further, but it's not so real that we're ready to make that change yet at the same time. And so
yeah, these changes are so late. So many veterans quit. I don't think it's enough, even though these changes are really good. These changes are really good. I think that what helps bring people back at the same time, and the reason they're implementing these changes alongside the PvE changes is big. Tier 3 loot, dimensional trial change, adding dungeons, all coming, okay, with these changes, with like the alliance change, and really just the alliance change is like the biggest thing, right? Vern ain't coming back, no way. Watch him. 100% he will. Adonia, he will ride out Adonia like I will. And then what do we do after the dust has settled from Adonia? We don't know yet. If TNL is good, and they said these updates are coming in the next few weeks, Adonia happens, 2 or 3 weeks, then I bet you do see the people return to TNL. Watch. You just...
We understand kind of that desire to have that, but as I mentioned, we have to balance that spectrum, because if we go too far, then we're going to end up in the same place we were before, with just kind of the opposite side having a lot of...
Yeah, remember people quit BDO all the time, but they come back. They just got to see the game they enjoyed getting proper changes. Yeah, that helps tremendously. Some people will never come back, but a lot of people would if they change the game for the better.
Activity, etc. So we've tried to do certain things, like with the GVG bosses. We've transitioned those to a different time, so it doesn't feel like...
I don't get to call anybody in Siege until I get access to those Hyperboost servers so that I can get my... so I can get... I gotta get like 6,500 gear score.
You have to choose between the easier loot in a peace mode boss versus doing the actual GVG boss in the portal. We also think with the upcoming tier 3 gear that those portals will be more active again, because guilds will be re-seeking new gear. Of course, right now we're kind of at the end of the tier, so a lot of those aren't as active, but we think they'll be reinvigorated with the fact that there's new gear to chase in there. Everyone in your guild is going to be needing it again.
What's Hyperboost? It's the Super Omega Catch-Up server, which is going to get you to 6,500 gear score.
And so I'm hoping that we'll see a lot more activity increase in those areas, and then we'll keep monitoring. You know, maybe it doesn't work out like we're hypothesizing or whatever, and then we keep making adjustments. So for right now, we'll probably stick with those 4 arc bosses a week, the Nebula bosses, and then of course, you know, the GVGs, which are instanced, but hopefully also satisfy a little bit.
Instances, no.
Bit of that PvP itch that players have.
In terms of parity between the Korean server and the global server,
people don't want 1v1s. People do never want 1v1s. Okay, every once in a while for like a tournament, 1v1s are great. Outside of that, nobody wants to 1v1 all the time. They already know who they're stronger than and who they're weaker than. They don't need to be reminded every day.
servers. What's up with the difference between like Battle Pass and store updates?
Still in the OG guild
Are we ever
base.
going to see parity get the exact same?
I might come back into it.
I don't want to speak really for the Korean service. That's not an area that I oversee. I know
Same shop and passes global
that
and
there
KR.
are differences between the battle pass and the store, and like what time we put certain offerings. And parity is a
I don't
tough
care
word,
about
I
this.
guess. It just depends on when we think
What
it's
the
most appropriate to
fuck
put
is
certain
this
things
question?
on. All right, more appropriate for content that players are enjoying, and less important in the shop.
I would say last question for
right.
now as we're wrapping up. The bunny outfit.
Okay, yeah.
Where's that, and why didn't we get it for Easter?
Also something that I think you ask 50 TL players, half will say they want it,
Hyperboost
half will
isn't
say they
just servers, it's also for current characters. A current character gets the same boost, and it's based on your current combat power.
It's also for current characters. A current character gets the same boost, and it's based on your current combat power. Okay, I don't know what the fuck that means.
don't want it,
That's the last question. Okay, so nobody cares about the bunny outfit. Gear trait presets, weapon mastery expansion, direct player to player trading. This is a terrible idea. What?
You feel like I got a piece of gear, I'd like to give it to my friend or whatever. Right now, we don't plan to bring that in.
Yeah, that's what I figured. What the don't do that. Rune presets would be good. Are they thinking about this?
The way that it was structured before, how runes kind of were structured on our back end. So it's a bit more work to work that into the presets, but they are coming and we expect them to arrive in.
Okay, so rune presets are coming. Gear trait presets.
I do see that is sometimes necessary. What we see more often is that it's actually different sets of gear that you might want to min-max for PvE and PvP. Like in T2, for example, if you're going an endurance build, you might take the Auric Vanguard set. But then if you're going into PvE, you might take the cooldown reduction set or others like this. And so generally, we don't see as much value in the ability to swap traits on an individual item.
Okay, so
and
those
some
aren't
benefits to
happening.
that. We know that really the community still doesn't feel that that's hit the mark. Decisions for yourself. But the way it played out obviously didn't meet our expectations. It's just become too convoluted for players, and we understand that. So we tried to do the UI rework, and while we do think there's been some benefits to that, we know that really the community still doesn't feel that that's hit the mark. So
Artifacts sucked. I'm just gonna say it. They were basically they're just a stat stick. There was nothing interesting about them. You just figured out which one the best one was, and it was obvious, and then you just equipped those. They just sucked. The system looked lazy, poorly implemented, just dog.
we're actively working now on just revamping the artifact system as a whole.
Good. And honestly, if they do it kind of like they did the runes, it'll be a lot better.
So we'll be
They can make it a little more complex than what it is right now, because right now it's ass, bro.
probably in late October, early November, roughly around there. We'll be introducing a new tier of artifacts, like a new grade, basically.
Okay, yeah,
and
but it
we'll be
needs-
changing the way the
The
system
whole system, yeah.
works. Artifacts
Okay, I was going to say, the whole system needs to be changed.
won't have such a wide array of stats anymore. So we'll be shrinking the amount of stats that they offer, focusing on the stats that primarily players are seeking and going
Exactly.
after more commonly. And we'll also be reducing how often they drop. So rather than it feeling like I need 1,000 artifacts so that I can maybe get that perfect combination of stats, we'll significantly reduce the amount of artifacts that drop and
Okay, I get it.
enhance it so that it's only the good stats. And then really what you're
Sure.
looking for is like an upgraded version of the previous one. Not quite like the runes, but similar in that vein that you're looking for stronger version.
That still doesn't seem like it's going to hit the nail on the head, but okay, sure. Okay, all right. DPS meter. What is it?
In competitive areas, and myself too. I really like DPS meters because they can improve my performance. And let me first answer your question and then give you a little bit of context. Yes, we are working on bringing DPS meters to Throne and Liberty. Now the question is exactly in what capacity that will be. There's a lot of paths that you can go with that. Do you do personal only DPS meters? Do you allow it for your group? Do you allow it for your Vanguard?
I like
Do you
to
allow it
see
for your
group.
guild?
That way you know who's pumping and who's slacking.
Lots of different reasons for
They've got DPS meters in Odin.
and against those
Odin is great. I watch him like a hawk
things.
during
Of
the
course,
the
toxicity is
dungeons.
something that we really consider strongly when we're talking about DPS meters. Can that lead to something where it enhances the toxicity for players, etc.? But for competitive players, myself included, I really like to use it as a way to improve my performance. I want to know if I'm in a raid group with my friends, am I helping the group because I'm doing a lot of damage, or am I,
It's less about me and more about the fact fact that I want to make fun of my friends if they're doing shitty.
Below par and I need to ask somebody for advice, or hey, how can I improve my rotation, things like this. So
Boss dummy?
and we have these kind of boss specific dummies, if you will. It sounds like that's kind of a common question is, does that really actually simulate what's going to be happening? So right now we're not planning to bring that. Part of that is because we'll be adding this DPS meter, whatever that shapes up to be. So we think that will give you the opportunity when you're actually
presets.
Yeah, understood.
Can we get like presets?
This is an answer I have to give maybe. I think all the others I've tried to kind of just say yes or no. This one is still a maybe for us because we haven't fully decided.
Okay. All right. Another good video. God bless Eric Gordon holding down the fort here. This is good. Here's the video here. Yeah, I think that these changes are overall massive. If things were going to bring players back to TNL, this is definitely what is going to do it. I'm really excited about this. I will definitely start playing again. Assuming that they decrease the alliance system. I'll be honest though. Decreasing the alliance system will help for Siege. It'll make Siege really interesting again. And most importantly, I think that it'll make ARC bosses really interesting, and I think they need to bring back open world bosses. That's what I think that needs to be the big change. Now, open world bosses need to be changed and brought back with two guild alliances, which I think will make things really interesting. And I think that people will be really excited about it. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section on this video. Remember to like it. Remember to go to Eric Gordon, give him a sub. I appreciate him making these videos, going out there and traveling out there, covering up his bald ass head. And asking Tico all the tough questions. God bless him.